Welcome to Sweet Talk. This broadcast is brought to you by the Continuing Education Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. This podcast is part of our continuing outreach efforts, and the format is conversational. We will be having conversations with businesses, professionals, entrepreneurs, community agencies, and, in all cases, difference makers. Now, let's get started with Sweet Talk. Hello, everyone. And with that hello, I'm also going to say welcome, because we have got a very special and unique podcast for you this year. And with that, Paul, you're here.
Yes.
We've done it. We are almost to our 2-season mark.
I know, 2 seasons. I mean, it goes by so fast. I know we've talked about this before in the past, but remember when you came up with this whole concept of doing the podcast, Gary was so, what's that for? I don't see how that will work. And we started this, and it's something Gary would never give up now. I don't think we'd give it up now.
No. And we're beginning, the podcast, I think we're having a lot of fun. I think our guests have a lot of fun. And I think we're getting some, I guess this is selfishly, or at least one-sided, I would make the argument. But we're getting some good information out in the community, things that I'm learning about, things I assume you're learning about. And if they're interesting to us, I guess we're doing the assumption that if they're interesting to us, they got to be interesting to at least one more person.
Well, we have had a lot of interesting guests over the last couple of years, and some of them like kind of eye-opening, and I really enjoyed the conversations that we've had. Some of them are really funny personalities, and some we do have to have a couple of these people back, because the format are the 20 minutes that we never do. It always leaves us wanting more, which is good, but it does leave us wanting more, and asking some people back.
That's right. Well, and in a way, this is kind of what this Thanksgiving podcast is about, right?
Right.
So to kind of, we did something different this time. Normally, our Sweet Talk podcast, we go above and beyond to make sure that we don't edit our podcast, right? We put the intro, we put the outro on, but between those two spots, it's a one-take deal.
That conversation that we broadcast or post up. That's the conversation we have.
That's yeah. And when the 20-minute mark goes off, we try really hard to stop it. It's been a unique year this year, and I'm not trying to underplay it or undersell it, but I don't even know what kind of words to describe 2020. But we're into Thanksgiving, right? We got Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day is next week. And typically, as a country, I would say that Thanksgiving is a time for reflection, and a time to take stock, and a time just to really appreciate who's at the dinner table with you. Heck, maybe even this year, and I sadly say maybe just to appreciate that there is food on the dinner table. It hasn't been an easy year.
No, it's not been an easy year for a lot of people, and it's been a quick year though. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but it's been gone by so fast this year. Blinked, it was over, or it's almost over. But yeah, it's been quite different this year.
Right. So Paul and I were sitting around talking about, as we're wrapping up, we're coming to the end of season 2. We'll end this in December. But with that being said, we have Thanksgiving. And so we were kind of thinking, what do we want to do for Thanksgiving? And so we had the idea is, let's go back and contact some of our past guests for this year, our guests on the show, and ask them a question. And the question was, what are you most thankful for this year? And we recorded their answers, and we did it. We edited. We edited between the intro and the outro this time.
Yes, and I think we wind up asking 6 of our previous guests back, and you recorded those on your own. You also recorded a little intro to remind people who they were when they were on the show. And now we're just doing this segment to put on the beginning of the entire thing. And
Right.
Spoilers, we're going to record a section to go on the end of it.
And spoiler number 2, we're not even going to be close to 20 minutes.
It goes a little long this time. But
we think it will be worth it. We do.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I had the best time. I had the best 3 days recording those thank yous from the guests that we've had on the show today. We did this a couple of weeks ago. We asked people to kind of think ahead what they were thankful for. And I got to be honest, Paul, I wasn't really in a Thanksgiving mood, dude. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
It hadn't even really dawned on me that, wait a minute, I should be thankful for something. And all of a sudden, I'm asking these people, to come on the show and answer that one simple question. And I mean, all of a sudden, I'm like, yeah, darn right, I'm thankful for that. Yeah, I'm thankful for that too. And I got to tell you, just recording those episodes probably was one of the highlights I had, at least in the last few months. It was a good couple days doing that.
Yeah, I again, spoilers. I've already edited those sections. Previous to us recording this section here, they were nice. They were very heartfelt. And some of them were things that went, oh, I didn't even think of that.
Right on.
Just before we started, hit the record button on we were going, oh, what are we thankful for? And I'm like, I was sitting there going, it's completely stunned, going, what am I thankful for? But I guess this year I'm thankful for my family, and my close friends around me. Right. And my little dog.
Yes, right.
Because currently, I think a lot of us are being a little more careful about going out, and that means being in with your family and spending more time with them and going through these trials with them. So I'm thankful not only for my family, that the fact that I can tolerate my family.
There you go. That's right. Well, and Paul, not to just steal your thunder, man, but that was the same thing I was thinking. I mean, for a while there, we were quarantined or asked to stay at home. I guess it's not quarantined, but what was the order? Stay at home, I guess.
Yeah.
Stay at home order. And, it was just my wife and I, and, the kids have grown and they're out. And so there we were. And I got to tell you, I shouldn't say this, we had the best 3 months. It was great. I loved, work was great. We figured out a way to work every day and to do what we needed to do. And that was fine. But I really just came to appreciate my wife and our relationship that we have. And so that was a really special moment. And the other thing I really did appreciate, and this is kind of weird, but was just getting outside. I really felt like this year for me, being able to get outside, to go for walks. We did tons of hikes this year. Funny enough, we ran into more people on the hikes this year than I've ever ran onto any hike before. There was no social distancing. There was bigger crowds, I felt like, on some of the hiking trails we did than there were at Walmart. But it just those moments to get outside and to appreciate the fresh air and appreciate the weather and appreciate just being active and moving. I think for me, that too was one of the absolute things I'm thankful for this year. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's COVID is a thing that affected all of us. But I think the one thing that we saw at the end of the tunnel is the little things are way more important.
Way more, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this. I'm not even going to, because we've pre-recorded all the intros. So
Yeah.
I sit back, enjoy this podcast, and I guess I challenge all of you who are listening to take the time and answer the question for yourself. What are you most thankful for? The first guest we're going to hear from today will be Katie Leishman. She is the Special Populations Project Coordinator for the Center for New Directions at the College of Technology at Idaho State University. Katie, she's a special friend of ours, a guest. She's been on the show a few times now, one of the rare individuals who's been on our show more than once. So that's kind of an honor for her. Well, maybe it's an honor for us, I guess. Anyway, she normally is on our show talking about the STEM camps that are provided through the College of Technology for the summer STEM camps for high school and junior high age kids. But Katie, we wanted to hear from her. It's been a interesting year. She's had some changes, position changes, job changes, and we just wanted to hear from her this year, definitely about what she was most thankful for. So Katie, what is it that you are most thankful for this year?
I have a lot to be thankful for this year. And thinking about the things that I'm grateful for is a wonderful way for me to reframe life during challenging times. This year, I'm most thankful to have been able to spend more time with my family. They really are my greatest source of joy and motivation. And so I'm super thankful for that. I'm also very thankful for the fun social media apps that are out there. They've helped me stay connected with friends and family. And so that's been a blessing. I'm thankful to work with incredibly creative and innovative people who are willing to try new things. And this year has been about trying new things for me. And so that's been wonderful. I am thankful for the students who inspire me through their positive outlook and perseverance. I'm thankful to live in a world that has endless learning opportunities and for the freedoms that I enjoy every day. And last but not least, I'm thankful for blue skies, fresh air, the ability to get out and enjoy them, cozy socks, hot coffee, and I'm also thankful for this moment to be able to reflect on all of the good things in life. So thank you.
So selfishly speaking, I've enjoyed this little week very much because I've gotten to listen to a lot of people just remind me why I'm thankful, right? Why we're thankful. And so I appreciate your insight. Thank you. And thank you for doing this.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
I was telling Paul last week that public speaking and being put out in a public place has always been terrifying for me. And
terrifying?
Yeah,
terrifying. Wow.
Yes,
wow.
And almost paralyzing. Like the thought of it. Yeah. And so really, since the first podcast, like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, I feel like my anxiety over that, just from working with you all,
really?
And kind of accepting, like saying, okay, when people ask me to do things, I need to say yes because it helps me to grow. And so really, I owe you guys a lot of things because of all of this. So thank you for that. And I have made it a goal to embrace being scared of public speaking and just do it. And so thank you.
Fair enough. The next guest we're going to hear from today is Caitlin Pankau. And we had her season 2, this season on the show this year, episode 32, titled How Writing, Caitlin will make fun of me for saying that, How Reading and Education Creates Space for Different Voices. Caitlin is a English teacher at Pocatello High School in Pocatello. And she is a absolute hoot to talk to. She's very well educated, obviously, and very passionate person about equity. And so in light of all the things that are going on in our world, and especially in our nation and country this year, it was a really neat conversation. We didn't really set out to talk to her about that, but it just sort of morphed into that conversation. And so we had to have her back on and definitely hear her perspective about what she's most thankful for. So, hey, Caitlin, I want to ask you, what are you most thankful for this year?
All right, so this year I'm thankful for my family and my friends and my pets and the outside and the changing of seasons. And oftentimes when we're asked this question about what we're thankful for, those are our go-to. We are thankful for our family and our friends. But I'm also thankful for learning and for conversations and for the ability to read books that are published for me to learn more, because it's so important that we continue to go forward and continue to learn. And we read to inform our conversations. We have conversations to make sure that we learn those perspectives of other people. And the year 2020 has truly been, how do I learn from other people's perspectives? Now, Zora Neale Hurston said that some years ask questions and some years give answers. And as far as 2020 goes, this is a year of both, that there are questions and answers. And I'm thankful for the fact that there are so many people asking questions, and there are so many people that are willing to give the time to give some answers. Thank you.
Thank you for wanting to do this. Thanks for letting me take your time. You did
Yeah,
wonderful. Warm up. Go. If you're like my wife, she has a little hot water. Oh, she just drinks hot water all day. I don't know what that's all about.
Same. I have a microwave for that very reason.
Yep. Okay. All right. We'll talk to you later. Our third guest, Pat Kelly with Your Health Idaho, not only answered the question, what is he most thankful for this year, but he added a little extra too.
All right. Well, I'm Pat Kelly, the Executive Director for Your Health Idaho. And, I have a lot of things to be thankful for in life. I'm really thankful for my family, my health. And I think all of us spend a lot of time at work. And I'm really thankful for the team that I have at work, how we focus on serving Idahoans and providing an opportunity for really life-changing health insurance for people. A lot of our customers have never had health insurance before, and the peace of mind that knowing you have health insurance without worrying about how to pay bills or what happens if I have an accident. You can't put a price on that. And I just feel really thankful to be able to play a really important role in people's peace of mind. And also thankful, as I mentioned, for the team here at Your Health Idaho.
It was interesting. This is the fourth video I've done so far. And, I've had two of the other people say, you know what? The reason I said yes is because I haven't really sat down and thought about what I'm thankful for this year until you kind of sent out that podcast. And so that's what I was thinking about, is like, I haven't, right? I'm complaining about stupid 3-inch pipe, right? And so it's kind of nice to sit down, and it's nice for me to do this, is I get to hear what everybody else is thankful for. And I'm like, yeah, I'm thankful for the people, we've been through a lot this year. You know what I mean? We've been through a lot. We haven't seen each other as much as we like to. We haven't celebrated birthdays. We've had just as many struggles, and we've had to deal with it either on text, phone, or on Zoom. And everyone still gets along, and we're still glad. And I really liked your answer. Very good. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Jason, I think you nailed it. You just don't think about all the things you should be thankful for until someone asks. And that's too bad, right?
Especially this year, right?
Yeah.
I think this year has been such a year of adjustment and change, and people having to rearrange and to figure out a new way to live, that the one thing you kind of put on the back burner is that gratefulness. And maybe it's time we'd all just move it up a few notches on our priority chain a little bit. So
yeah, and Jason, I'll share a little story with you. I think that it was very fortuitous. This morning I was getting ready for our monthly all hands meeting, and our support center managers stopped by, and we just got to chatting about things. And he said, how was your night? And, good, with my kids, football and online school and all that. He said, I was talking to my son and he wanted to go to Cabela's. And I said, he said, I don't think that's probably the best thing for us to do right now. And they ended up pulling out photos of their, the gentleman's grandfather, so his son's great grandfather, who served in the Navy in World War II.
Oh my goodness.
And they started to talk about how that gentleman sacrificed years of not being able to be with his family and his wife, worrying about whether he's going to see tomorrow. And we're worried about online school, football, and not being able to go to Cabela's, right? And
Yes.
boy,
Right.
that was such an eye opener in terms of perspective. And I think it's so easy to get caught up in the politics and the news and the social media, and really step back and say, this year's been a challenge.
Yeah.
But it pales in comparison to what people have gone through in the past.
Right. You're right. What do we learn to appreciate versus we hadn't taken time to before? So
yeah.
Well, those of you that know our show, we know that we could not do a thankful for, what are you most thankful for this year, without talking to probably our favorite guest, Denell Bronco. Denell has been on our show twice. She's had her first episode by far is our favorite, my personal favorite. And it's actually quite popular in all of our other places where you get your podcasts. So if you haven't had Denell, if you haven't listened to her first season podcast, episode 18, She Explored, you definitely need to check that out. That's a great podcast. We had her on this year right before COVID. Right? Isn't that funny how we say right before COVID? Right before March of this year here in Idaho, and she got on to talk about the census, and that's season 2, episode 9. And Denell is always a pleasure for me to talk to, and I enjoy her very much. She has a unique story to her, I guess, but not to many people, probably sharing her story this year. And so she talks about that and how actually having a rather personal encounter, a battle, I should say, with the COVID-19 virus, she had a really great perspective on what she is most thankful for this year. So Denell, I ask you the question, what are you most thankful for this year?
I'm very thankful for this aging fat body of mine. It's carried me through 52 years of life. It's helped me give birth to 2 wonderful sons. And recently, it's helped me beat COVID. Yay! So, with all that being said, I wanted to not prepare a speech, if you will, or write down a list of things that I'm thankful for. I just kind of wanted it to be organic, because I like talking to Jason and I like being on Sweet Talk. And I think it's really important for people, especially nowadays, just to have candid discussions. So one of the things that, aside from my aging fat body, that I'm thankful for, I'm really thankful for the right to vote. The 19th Amendment was very pivotal. And can you think back hundreds of years ago? Well, not hundreds, but at least 100 years ago, for those suffragettes to band together and to stand up for equality and to have a voice. And that was granted. And so I do not want to miss opportunities to vote. And I don't want anybody else to miss those opportunities to vote as well, because it does make an impact. And for me personally, in the state of Idaho, we might think, oh, we live in such a small state. The Electoral College is, maybe you agree with it, maybe you disagree with it, but I think having that right to vote and to exercise that, I'm really thankful for that. Some of the other things I'm thankful for is living in this state of Idaho. I'm really an outdoor person. I like enjoying the trees. I like enjoying the blue sky. I like enjoying the rivers and the mountains and the ability to connect with nature. I feel at home outside. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And one of the things that COVID has shown us during this pandemic is the ability to slow down and to go out and take some of those solo adventures, whether it just be a walk around the block, whether it be a hiking trail in our mountains and regions, or whether it just be a scenic drive listening to your favorite podcast. Those are the things that I'm most grateful for during this time.
I loved that answer. Thank you, Denell.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Hey.
so excited to see, the string of them all put together.
Right. It will be cool. It'll be cool. And by the way, I just had my 51st in my fat body. So I just want to tell you that you rang true. Darn right. I tell my wife all the time, babe, this is what you got. So I'm just going to enjoy it. You know what I mean? I'm done. The only muscle I got to worry about is the heart muscle. So as long as I can keep that in shape, right? As long as I can keep that one pumping, I don't care what the rest looks like.
Yeah. And who knows if it's going to carry me for the next 50 years.
Right.
But
Right. Oh, I love.
I've enjoyed it to this point.
Yeah, I have too. Thank you. That was a wonderful answer. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jason. So.
Our next guest, Father Hugh Feiss, is just a fascinating individual. The title of that episode was "No Respecter of Persons: Pandemic in Medieval Times," and Father Hugh has a unique knowledge and an expertise on that medieval time period, and so it was kind of fun to have a conversation with him about what correlations. And granted, we were early on in what was happening in our country, not necessarily in the world, as far as in our country, in regards to this pandemic this year. But it was fun to have that conversation with him about, what parallels and what things can we see that was during the plague, the famous plague, or infamous plague, I should say, and about what is currently happening in today's time frame, and still going on even now today as we're entering into Thanksgiving. So it was fun to talk to Father Hugh. It's always fun to talk to Father Hugh. And so I definitely asked him this question. Father Hugh, what are you most thankful for this year?
Well, I've been on quarantine since March, and that's had a lot of negative aspects. But the thing I'm thankful for is that I didn't have to work maniacally all summer as I have for the last 20 years. And so I set to work in the library here and working on a book project, and my desk faces out into a tree on the second floor of the building, and I got to see all kinds of migrating birds in the tree, and that was a thrill. And then in April, a herd of mule deer came, about a dozen, I think, at the time, but they had a bunch of fawns here. And so we probably ended up with about 20 of them. And we have a little game refuge on the edge of the property, and they mostly hung out there, but at night and other times they would go out into the cornfield or the garden and eat. And so they would walk by us a lot, and you could sit out in front of the building and watch them trotting down the road, and so, or eating their way down the road. And there was something enormously comforting to just be in the presence of these beautiful animals that they were wary, but they weren't really afraid. They got to realize that we were just part of the backdrop to their eating. And so those two things, watching the migrating birds and now watching them go back the other way, which is not quite as exciting. They don't stay as long and they're not as colorful, but that and just being in touch with nature in a way that I've always loved to do, but haven't had much chance to here since I've been in Idaho for 20 years, because I had to work all summer, so real hard. And so this has been wonderful. So that's been the thing I think I'm most thankful for. It's been a very soothing and interesting thing. And one other thing is that in late August, a pair of rough-winged hawks showed up, and that's a little early. They live up in the Arctic in the summer, but they were here, and I got to watch them. They ran together, so you could always, if you saw one, you could find the other one, and they were hunting off of the telephone poles and stuff. So it's just things like that this was an opportunity to get in touch with nature, and for that I am very thankful.
The final guest we want to hear from today is actually, at least for us, or at least here at the College of Technology, one of our newest members this year, Courtney Mason. We had her season 2, episode 23, titled New Job, New State, New Marriage, Pandemic. And you want to hear a story about sort of how that pandemic snuck up and just sort of introduced itself into our daily lives. You got to check out that podcast by Courtney. She has a great story. It was almost stranded on her honeymoon. I mean, what a wonderful story, and what a wonderful person. And so we had a wonderful conversation with her just about what was it she was thankful for this year. And of all, she had many things to be thankful for this year. And that shadow sort of COVID-19 sort of over it all. And yet her perspective and her outlook really kind of caps off what we want to talk about today. So Courtney, what is it you're most thankful for this year?
I am very grateful for new chapters. And I know that sounds very odd, but I think the reason why I'm grateful for that specifically this year is there's been a lot of new changes in my life, which has forced me to look at things differently and through a different lens. And I think that's why I'm grateful for these new beginnings. Is a lot of times we get very, very comfortable in our lives and our routines and what we like to do. And these new chapters and these changes that come into our lives, whether they're a marriage, something that you've chosen, or it's COVID, something that we didn't choose, they force you to look at life in a different perspective. And it really shows you who you are as a person. It also provides you with an opportunity for growth. And that growth helps you progress and become a better person and evolve into a better person most of the time. Or it provides you with opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily have chosen on your own. And I think that's why this year specifically, I'm grateful for these new beginnings, because it pushed me outside of my boundaries in a huge way. Getting married, starting a new job, moving to a new place, COVID, all those things really happened right at the same time for me. And a lot of times those new chapters are easily spread out over life. And I had the opportunity to experience those all at once. And it really showed me, one, how strong I am as an individual, and two, how grateful I am that I had support in my life during those big transitions. For a long time, I was very much I'm an independent woman, I can do everything on my own. And this really showed me that, yes, I can do those things, but it's really nice to have support and to ask for help. And I think that's one of the big things is this new beginning being able to rely on other people and use them for support is a huge benefit. And for that, I am extremely grateful.
All right. Pat, Denell, Father Hugh, and Courtney. And that was a good podcast to listen to.
Yeah, I
Good
mean,
to hear their opinions.
some of our favorite guests on the podcast. Not that they're not all our favorites, but
Right.
you know, I especially liked Denell's outreach and what she had to say, and
Yeah.
Courtney's at the end there. But also Katie has mentioned to me before that we actually helped her overcome her public speaking fright, which I kind of feel proud with that of that.
I kind of do too. We did some good. And Courtney, by the way, Courtney is an excellent podcast guest.
Yes.
She is so fun to talk to.
She is very comfortable with the whole recording thing also.
Right.
Right.
And then Pat Kelly, I enjoyed his comments and his conversation. So, and then Father Hugh, just listening to Father Hugh somehow lowers my blood pressure. I don't know what that's about. But.
Well, again, he's a little, not just where he is, but he's also kind of, he is really isolated.
Yes, right.
And
right. Really
how he overcame that isolation is nice. But yeah, again, Thanksgiving is the time to think about what you're thankful for. Also, I don't know about you, but we're having a very, very, very small, intimate Thanksgiving this year. I don't know about what you're doing.
Yeah, our little pod. It's just our pod.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of what we've been joking. We've created a pod, and our pod is what it is. So
yeah.
And so we're keeping it to the pod. Hey, we do have one real exciting thing to say though, Paul.
What's that?
Well, we can now, our podcast, Sweet Talk, is now on Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcast.
Yes, it is.
So it's no longer iTunes.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Unless you're on Microsoft, unless
you're on Windows. But they actually separated that all out, and so it's Apple Podcast.
Correct.
And
it's Sweet Talk, CEWT. TALK, Sweet Talk, and it's the same way. It's on, and not only that, but we've been on Spotify and SoundCloud. You can also find us on our website at cetrain.isu.edu /podcast. But with that being said, we're now kind of across the board, right? We're on Apple Podcasts. Does that make us important now? I mean, are we?
I don't know. I guess it's funny because I think let's just a little behind the scenes. Part of the reason why we weren't on Apple Podcasts previously is our technical person in our office, Aaron, was like going, well, how many episodes are you going to have? And when we first started, we I don't know. We might have this done in like a week. And it will peter out.
I don't think he really expected us to get to 2 seasons. So
no.
And we did all right.
And when we approached Aaron, because Aaron's very pragmatic.
Yes.
So we really thought he'd fight us on this, and we said, hey. I mean, Jason, you said, hey, we want to, and okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to go on Apple Podcasts. Okay.
Oh man, I had a heck of an argument, man. I was going to go to town on it, but it didn't. We did it. So we're on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and it's all Sweet Talk, CEWT Talk. And with that being said, please, as always, you know how to get a hold of us at cetrain.isu.edu. Our phone number. 208-282-3372. Thank you, Paul. And Paul, this was great. I enjoyed this podcast. I'm going to be honest with you, though. I don't want to edit any more podcasts.
No. Like I said, it was a bit of work editing this one together because it's all pieces that we wanted to put together.
Right.
And so if anyone has any comments about it, let me know.
Please do.
Because this was a little more work putting together this time, and I hope everyone appreciates the content on it.
And finally, we have a heck of a season finale. So I think it's December 9th will be our season finale for season 2. And that's all I'm going to say. You want to check out our December 9th podcast. We have a heck of a season finale this year.
Now, we're not releasing a podcast Thanksgiving week though, right?
No,
Okay.
Not Thanksgiving week. So
okay.
Nope, this is coming out the week before Thanksgiving. We want you to be with your family. We want to be with our families. And we really want you to think about, and we will too, what are we most thankful for this year? Yes, Paul.
One last thing. People might want to know what my t-shirt says.
Yes, you got to show them. There we go, the Bostonian boy right there.
Yes, so I don't know if everyone knows, but I'm originally from outside Boston. My mom was from Southie, and that's how that's wicked smart.
Yeah,
Wicked smart. Which
I'm not even going to try to my Boston accent, so we'll just trust that Paul got it down perfectly.
I work really hard to get rid of it, and like it takes 2 seconds for me to just hear someone from back home, and I just fall right back into it. Hey everyone,
right.
Thank you for joining us.
Have a great,
Jason,
safe
thank
Thanksgiving.
You.
Yeah, Paul,
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everybody else. Thank you.